the man found himself locked in a dark, damp dungeon. In every corner, there was another person chained up, curled up in fear. One of them was covered in wounds, and horrifyingly, his mouth had been sewn shut. The man had no idea where he was or how he even ended up there. He stood up and tried to break free, yanking hard against the chain on his wrist, but it held him firmly in place. No matter how hard he struggled, it was useless. Desperate, he called out to the others, asking why they were imprisoned here, but no one knew. They were just as clueless and terrified. The place was watched over by a sadistic man in a mask clearly unhinged. Every so often, he'd come in just to torture them for fun. The bloodied man with the sewn mouth had been the first one brought here. He was barely hanging on. Panic set in. The newcomer spotted a camera mounted on the wall and lost it. He jumped up and started cursing at it, screaming for answers. One of the prisoners, a man with a scruffy beard, was startled and quickly warned him to stop. Don't make things worse. He'll punish all of us. The bearded man pleaded, but the newcomer didn't listen. He kept yelling. Then the overhead light flickered. In that instant, everyone else in the dungeon went pale with fear. Moments later, they heard the door creak open. The man had no idea how serious things were. He took a fighting stance, ready to take on whoever came in. But as the door opened, he frowned. See, a hulking man entered, his face hidden behind a terrifying mask, muscles bulging. The figure slowly stepped forward. The defiant man backed away, slipping into a corner. Praying the masked figure hindered his earlier outburst. To everyone's surprise, the masked man ignored him. Instead, he grabbed the severely wounded prisoner and dragged him out. Then, he pulled out a knife and handed it to a woman cowering in the corner. Without a word, he gestured for her to cut the bleeding man. With no other option, she obeyed, slicing a piece of flesh from the man's body. Next, the masked man handed a knife to the newcomer, silently ordering him to do the same. But instead of complying, the man lunged and stabbed the masked man. Unfortunately, he only managed to graze his arm. Enraged, the masked man knocked him to the ground. Then, grabbing the woman he just forced to use the knife, he pulled out a plastic tube and gestured for the bearded man to help. Together, they shoved the tube down the woman's throat. The masked man opened a red bag, pulled out a cockroach, and forced it through the tube into her mouth. To make sure she swallowed it, he clamped a hand over her mouth until she choked it down. Only then did he let her go. After the masked man left, the room fell into heavy silence. But suddenly, the badly injured prisoner started to move. He struggled violently, tearing at the stitches on his mouth. With the last bit of strength he had, he forced out 3 words, "For sure," but everyone frowned. A cold sweat broke out across their bodies, and in that moment, it all clicked. They finally understood why they were here. Horseshoe, it wasn't just a word, it was a nickname. The masked man was the same little boy they had bullied more than 20 years ago. Back then, they had lured him into an abandoned building, and he vanished after that. No one ever heard from him again. The woman suddenly remembered she had once forced that same boy to eat a cockroach, just like he made her do now. As the memories of what they had done to that boy in their childhood came flooding back, the guilt and fear hit them all like a wave. They broke out in a cold sweat, finally realizing they were now living the nightmare they had once created for someone else.